They used to describe Richard Gere as the ultimate gentleman of Hollywood, the silver-haired leading man who could say everything with just a glance. In films like Pretty Woman, he didn't just play romance, he defined it. There was always a sense of control in his performances, a quiet confidence, as if nothing could truly shake him. But behind that polished image, there were moments, unexpected, unscripted, that broke through his composure. And now, at 76, Gere has begun reflecting on those moments, revealing the actresses who affected him in ways he never fully admitted before. These weren't just co-stars. They were women who disrupted his rhythm, challenged his instincts, and blurred the line between acting and something far more real. At the top of that list is Julia Roberts, the one he says made him lose control. Their chemistry in Pretty Woman has often been called iconic, but Gere suggests it wasn't something carefully constructed. It wasn't lighting, direction, or clever writing. It was her. Julia had a way of disarming him without effort, slipping past the professional boundaries actors usually keep in place. Being around her, he admitted, felt unpredictable, almost dangerous, in a way that acting wasn't supposed to feel. One moment in particular stayed with him. It happened before filming even began, during a quiet rehearsal at a small restaurant set. They were going over lines, nothing unusual. Then, without warning, Julia reached under the table and lightly traced her fingertip across his palm. It was subtle, almost invisible but intentional. A method, perhaps, to build emotional tension. For Gere, it wasn't just a gesture. It was a shock. He later recalled how that single touch pulled him completely out of the scene. Suddenly, he wasn't playing a character anymore. It was no longer about dialogue or blocking. It was just the two of them, existing in a moment that felt uncomfortably real. What unsettled him even more was how natural it seemed for her. She didn't linger on it or make it dramatic. She simply continued, laughing, leaning in, meeting his gaze as if nothing unusual had happened. But for him, everything had changed. Crew members noticed it too. There were whispers about the intensity between them. One cameraman even admitted he felt like he was intruding during a take, as if what he was capturing wasn't acting at all. Gere found himself drawn to her authenticity, the way she relied on emotion instead of technique. Unlike others who approached scenes with precision or calculation, Julia was open, spontaneous, and completely genuine. And that, he said, made her the most dangerous of all. Because with her, he couldn't hide behind the safety of performance. Then there was Sharon Stone, the woman who turned danger into something magnetic. Gere remembers the exact moment she entered his life. Not because of what she said, but because of how his body reacted before his mind could catch up. In a crowded room, she walked straight toward him without hesitation. No introductions, no small talk. She simply reached out and brushed an invisible piece of lint from his shoulder. Then she smiled. It wasn't flirtation in the usual sense. It felt deliberate, almost strategic, like she had already decided something about him. Gere later described it in a way that stuck. Sharon didn't flirt, she hunted. And strangely, he meant it as admiration. What fascinated him wasn't just her presence, but the way she worked. On set, she could shift instantly from playful and relaxed to intensely focused. One moment she'd be joking with the crew, and the next, she'd deliver a performance so sharp, it felt almost confrontational. She didn't wait for direction. She created it. There was a moment during rehearsal when she grabbed his wrist mid-scene and whispered, "Don't act, react." It wasn't scripted, it wasn't planned, but it hit him harder than any line he had ever memorized. From then on, working with her required constant awareness. He couldn't drift, couldn't rely on routine. She forced him to stay present, to respond in real time. And that unpredictability, both thrilling and unsettling, left a lasting impression. If Sharon was intensity, Diane Lane was something quieter, but no less powerful. Their connection wasn't built on bold gestures or sharp exchanges. It was something slower, more subtle. Diane had a way of drawing him in, not by pushing, but by creating space where emotion could settle and grow. She listened differently. She reacted differently. And in that stillness, Gere found himself exposed in ways he hadn't expected. During the filming of Unfaithful, one rehearsal changed everything. Diane was supposed to deliver a simple line, something straightforward. Instead, she paused. She stepped closer. Then she gently placed her forehead against his and whispered, "Don't answer yet, let it hurt first." It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it stopped him completely. In that moment, he realized she wasn't acting from technique. She was acting from something deeper, something personal. She didn't just perform emotion. She allowed it to exist, raw and unfiltered, and that forced him to do the same. For a few seconds, there was no script, no performance. Just two people standing in a shared moment of vulnerability. And that, he later admitted, was the kind of connection he had spent his entire career searching for. Each of these women affected him differently. Julia broke his control. Sharon challenged his instincts. Diane uncovered his emotional core. And together, they revealed something essential not just about acting, but about human connection. Because sometimes, the most powerful moments aren't written. They happen in the spaces between. Diane Lane didn't create desire the way Sharon Stone did. She didn't confront, didn't provoke, didn't force a reaction. Instead, she drew Richard Gere inward with a quiet, almost invisible pull. Her softness wasn't passive. It was precise, controlled, and unexpectedly powerful. In fact, that gentleness carried a kind of tension that felt more dangerous than intensity. Diane had a way of listening that made every word he spoke feel heavier, as if meaning deepened the moment it reached her. Gere later admitted she could shift the emotional weight of an entire scene with nothing more than a breath. Everything changed during the filming of Unfaithful. In one rehearsal, Diane was meant to deliver a simple line filled with guilt. But instead of following the script, she slowed the moment down. She stepped closer, closing the distance between them, then gently rested her forehead against his. In a soft voice, she whispered, "Don't answer yet. Let it hurt first." Gere froze. It wasn't dramatic, but it was overwhelming. No actress had ever used silence like that, turning absence of words into something stronger than dialogue. This was Diane's method. She didn't rely on technique. She worked from something deeper, something rooted in emotion and vulnerability. Gere once said, "Diane makes you act with your truth, not your talent." For someone with his experience, that approach was both captivating and unsettling. She would hold eye contact just a second longer than expected, subtly match her breathing to his, or shift her tone to mirror his emotional state. These small, almost invisible choices created something powerful. There was one moment where her voice cracked during a take completely real, not scripted. Instead of breaking, Gere instinctively reached for her hand. Diane didn't pull away. She let the moment continue, and for a few seconds, they weren't performing at all. They were simply there, existing in something honest. That kind of connection is rare, and it stayed with him. Then came Michelle Pfeiffer, the opposite in every way. She didn't need touch, closeness, or emotion to create impact. Her power came from stillness. Gere first felt it during a casting meeting in the late 80s. Michelle sat across from him, folded her hands, and simply looked at him. No smile, no words, just a steady, focused gaze that made him forget everything else. In that silence, he felt completely exposed, like she already understood him without asking. 10 seconds passed long enough to feel uncomfortable. No smile, no greeting, no attempt to ease the moment. Michelle Pfeiffer simply looked at Richard Gere, her eyes steady, focused, almost unsettling in their intensity. It wasn't just eye contact. It felt like observation, like she was quietly uncovering everything he hadn't said. Gere would later admit that in that silence, he felt exposed. "She didn't need to say a word," he recalled. "It felt like she had already figured me out." No other actress had ever created that kind of impact on him so quickly. What made Michelle even more compelling was how she approached her craft. She wasn't the kind of actress who relied on repetition or memorization. Instead, she treated rehearsal as a process of elimination, cutting away anything artificial until only something real remained. By the time she entered a scene, every gesture, every pause felt intentional. There was nothing wasted. Her presence wasn't loud or overpowering, but it was sharp, precise, in a way that demanded attention. During one test scene, Gere tried to introduce an improvised emotional moment, expecting her to respond in a predictable way. She didn't. Instead, she paused.